The Little Mermaid original. Deep, deep beneath the waves, where the water is as blue as the prettiest cornflower and as clear as the purest glass, lies the kingdom of the sea people. Their world is filled with wonders, but the most magnificent sight of all is the Sea King's palace. The Sea King, a widower for many years, lived there with his wise old mother and his 6 beautiful daughters, the Sea Princesses. The youngest princess was a strange and thoughtful child. While her 5 older sisters decorated their gardens with treasures from sunken ships and played joyfully, she cared only for her little patch of garden, which she kept shaped like the sun, and a single marble statue of a handsome boy. She was quiet and pensive, and more than anything, she longed to know about the world above the water, the world of humans. Her grandmother would tell her enchanting stories of ships, cities, flowers, and people, and the Little Mermaid would listen, her imagination soaring. She learned that she would have to wait until her 15th birthday to rise to the surface and see it all for herself. One by one, her sisters turned 15 and made their first journey to the surface. Another saw a glorious sunset that painted the sky in gold and purple. Each story only made the Little Mermaid's yearnings stronger. Her grandmother placed a wreath of white lilies in her hair and adorned her tail with 8 large pearls. With her heart beating with excitement, she rose through the water, light as a bubble, until her head emerged above the surface. Not far off, a large 3-masted ship lay at anchor. Music and laughter drifted across the water. The Little Mermaid swam closer and peered through the clear cabin windows. But her eyes were drawn to one person, a young prince, with large, dark eyes and a charming smile. As the evening deepened, 100 colored lanterns were lit, and magnificent fireworks shot into the sky, illuminating the night. The Little Mermaid had never imagined such beauty. She watched the handsome prince, feeling a strange new happiness bloom in her heart. The sky darkened, lightning flashed, and a terrible storm began to rage. With a horrifying crash, the mainmast snapped, and the ship, torn apart by the violent sea, began to sink. The Little Mermaid watched in terror as the crew was thrown into the churning water. Her first thought was for the prince. She knew that humans could not breathe underwater, and he would surely perish. At last, she found him, his eyes closed, already sinking into the depths. She quickly seized him and held his head above the water, letting the waves carry them wherever they would. All through the night, she held on to him, protecting him from the raging sea. The Little Mermaid found herself near a coastline with a beautiful white building, perhaps a church or a convent, nestled among lush gardens. She gave him a gentle kiss on his forehead, her heart filled with a sorrowful tenderness. She then swam back out a little way and hid behind some rocks, waiting to see if anyone would come for him. When she saw the prince, she rushed to his side and called for help. Soon, others came, and they carried the prince into the building. He never saw the Little Mermaid who had truly saved him. With a heavy heart, she dove back down to her father's palace. When her sisters asked what she had seen, she couldn't bring herself to speak of it. But her longing was too great to bear. One day, she confided in one of her sisters, who, as it turned out, knew where the prince's kingdom was. That very night, her sisters linked arms and took her to the prince's palace. It stood by the sea, made of gleaming pale stone, with grand marble steps leading right down to the water. Night after night, the Little Mermaid returned. She would swim up the canal that flowed beneath a marble balcony and watch the prince. She saw him sailing in his magnificent boat, heard his voice, and watched his shadow on the palace walls. She wanted nothing more than to be with him, to be part of his world. This desire led her to a dangerous place, the lair of the sea witch. It was a terrifying journey through grasping whirlpools and slimy marshes. The witch's house was built from the bones of drowned sailors. The witch herself was a horrifying creature, but the Little Mermaid was too determined to be afraid. 2. You want to get rid of your fishtail and have 2 clumsy stilts to walk on, so the human prince can fall in love with you. When you drink it, your tail will split in two and become what humans call legs. But it will be excruciatingly painful. Every step you take will feel as if you are walking on sharp knives. And this is the most important part. Once you become human, if the prince marries another, on the morning after his wedding, your heart will break and you will dissolve into sea foam. And what must I give you in return? The mermaid asked, trembling. Your voice, the witch replied. Desperate, the little mermaid agreed. The witch cut out her tongue and in return gave her the magic potion. She swam to the prince's palace one last time as a mermaid, her heart full of sorrow for the family she was leaving behind. She went ashore, drank the fiery potion, and fainted from the agonizing pain as her body transformed. When he asked who she was, she could only look at him with her deep blue eyes, for she was now mute. He was captivated by her beauty and grace. He took her by the hand and led her into the palace. He had the most exquisite silken clothes made for her and found her to be the most enchanting creature he had ever met. Though every step was torture, she danced for him, light and ethereal, and everyone marveled at her grace. He called her his little foundling and let her sleep on a velvet cushion outside his door. He loved her as one would love a dear child, but the thought of making her his wife and queen never entered his mind. And yet, he had told her he would only marry the beautiful girl from the convent who he believed had saved his life. He would rather marry his sweet, mute foundling with the expressive eyes than anyone else. When they arrived, the princess came out from the holy temple where she had been educated. As soon as the prince saw her, he cried out, "You are the one who saved me when I lay on the shore." It was the same girl. The prince was overjoyed. He had found the one woman he vowed to love. The little mermaid's world shattered. She could feel her heart beginning to break. The witch's words echoed in her mind. On the morning after his wedding, she would turn to foam on the sea. That evening, a lavish wedding celebration was held on the prince's ship. The prince and his bride were radiant with happiness. The little mermaid, her heart filled with the agony of death, danced one last time, more brilliantly than ever before, even as the knives beneath her feet seemed sharper. Suddenly, her sisters rose from the sea. Their beautiful long hair was gone. Before the sun rises, you must plunge this knife into the prince's heart. When his warm blood touches your feet, they will merge back into a fishtail. You will live out your years with us. Hurry, he or you must die before sunrise. They handed her the knife and sank back into the waves. She pulled back the curtain and saw her beloved prince whispering his bride's name in his sleep. She looked at the knife, then at him. With a final, loving look, she threw the knife into the sea and then cast herself from the ship into the water, feeling her body dissolve. But as a light, ethereal being. Around her were other transparent, beautiful creatures. "Who are you?" she asked, and her voice, clear and melodic, had returned. "We are the daughters of the air," they answered. "A mermaid does not have an immortal soul and can never have one unless she wins the love of a human being. For 300 years, we fly through the world, bringing relief to the suffering and joy to the virtuous. Because you strove with all your heart to do good, now you, too, have the chance to earn an immortal soul." The little mermaid lifted her radiant eyes towards the sun and felt, for the first time, tears. She looked back at the ship and saw the prince and his bride searching for her. Unseen, she kissed the bride's forehead, smiled at the prince, and then rose with the other children of the air into the clouds, beginning her long, hopeful journey towards an immortal soul.